Good evening to our lecturer, Dr. Nixon. Today, Group 6 will present about the Margaret Thatcher, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. First of all, I would like to introduce our group members with me. My name is Fatia Ilawaida, and the second one, Hani Sitan Sihui, Nur Amisha Nabila, Nur Ali Afrika, Nur Elisa, and the last one, Nur Ain. Okay, next slide. First of all, the introduction about Margaret Thatcher. First of all, Margaret Hilda Roberts, her full name was she was the first female prime minister in Britain. She was born on October 13, 1925 in Grantham, England. She was known as the Iron Lady. She was the prime minister of England from 1979 to 1990. Her father was a member of the town council, introduced Thatcher to conservative politics when she was a child. And that's why Thatcher was accepted to Oxford University, and she was a political activist in her teens, serving as president of the Conservative Association at Oxford. The next slide.
Okay, about traits. Okay, firstly, self-assured individual. When presenting her country on whatever forum, Margaret Thatcher exuded confidence. Thatcher, confident in her belief, was dismissive of her prime minister term. It led her to lead a government based on conviction politics, or in other words, largely on her own belief. For example, Margaret Thatcher ran for parliament for the first time in 1950 as the Conservative candidate for the Dartford Labour Party constituency. She is not scared by the fact that she is legislature youngest member and the only female candidate, but she never lose confidence and use the power of her personality to hold her ground against the seasoned politician. Her attitude is practical, and her speech reflects that. Thatcher dedication to the policy she has set in place is shown throughout her speech, particularly in her affirmation of strength. Indeed, the most of her speech is devoted to arguing for and defending the cause of action she has decided. Secondly, integrity. Margaret Thatcher knows about what is right and what is wrong. She is determined about what is right and what is wrong. She cherishes integrity and honesty in her career, which made her a trustworthy person, possibly even a pillar in society, particularly in political activity. For example, Margaret Thatcher admonished Christians not to practice religion without thinking about the passage of time. Christian responsibility should reflect our best thought and reflection at this time. She said we should realize that modern society is far from complex than biblical times, and of course, new opportunity teach new tasks. Christian responsibility should reflect our best thought and reflection at this time. She also thinks that the government should value the family-based policy on family right and responsibility. Also that she accepted and respected opposing viewpoint, and it requires honesty. That's all from me.
The third one is passion. She was passionate about her nation, privatization, and independence. She believed that only a free people can nation attain wealth and grandeur. This devotion gave her the strength to pursue difficult battle, which she finally won for several crucial initiatives. As example, she came to power determined to revive the stagnant British economy with market-based reform. The government deregulated, cut marginal tax rates, repealed exchange control, and tamed militant labor unions. But it was privatization that became her most important and enduring economic legacy. Thatcher popularized the word privatization, and she oversaw the sale of many major businesses including British Airways, British Telecom, British Steel and British Gas. Spurred the success of Thatcher reform, privatization swept through developing nations in Europe, Latin America, and elsewhere. Other nations followed Britain's lead because of disillusionment with the general poor performance of state-owned enterprise and the desire to improve efficiency of bloated and often failing companies. Next.
So next is the value of Margaret Thatcher. So first is the excellent. So Margaret Thatcher stand out as Great Britain's finest and most successful prime minister ever, and she also helped the Cold War to win the Cold War and strengthened Britain's economy. And also she wants a new generation to take up her principles and policies and work to rescue a great nation from greater threats than it has ever faced before. So next is the humanitarianism. Personally, she spoke up for people who are frontline missionary that were prisoners in the Zambia on October 1987, and she helps them secure their release in Zambia. The frontline mission team had been arrested at Kazangulu after refusing to bribe Zambian officials. The prisoners had been abused at the hands of Zambian security forces in Filthy, blindfolded, handcuffed, and incarcerated in the overcrowded Lusaka Central Prison. We can see that she has a sense of humanity towards people that had been arrested and abused in front of a people for no reason.
Okay, and the third one is the determination. So Margaret Thatcher was determined on reducing the influence of trade nation on 1979. On that time, which is the Thatcherism, which is the political and economic policies that advocated by the former British Conservative Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. She attempts to promote low inflation, the small state and free market through tight control of the money supply, privatization, and constraint on the labour movement in order to reduce the influence of trade nation on 1979. And the second one, she was not afraid to take on long and difficult fights with the unions and with Europe. And she also was a key player in the end of the Cold War by working closely with the President Ronald Reagan. And she also stand up to tyranny to help to bring an end to the Soviet Union, which is known at that time as communism. And the last one is passionate. She also had a passion for her country, Britain, and for privatization and freedom. She also believed that the nation can only achieve prosperity and greatness by setting individuals free. And the last one, she also fight for many key policies and gave her the strength to take up fierce fight and dare to take a drastic decision, which is we can see on the Falklands War. She is the Britain's first female prime minister that was facing sharp criticism from both her cabinet and the public in response to her domestic policies. The savage government spending cuts and a declining manufacturing industry and high unemployment all pointed to an early to exit the Margaret Thatcher. So this is because the Thatcher decision, she wants to go to war instead of the using negotiation, which is peace talk that have been advised by the Ronald Reagan. So end up she winning the Falklands War between Argentina in 1982. I pass to the next presenter.
So next, we will be talking about Margaret Thatcher's principles. So from what we have read, the first principle is that she makes sound and timely decisions. So Thatcher was known many people saw her as an autocratic leader. However, she was not entirely autocratic. For instance, she constantly deferred to her military commanders for advice during the Falklands War in 1982. This shows that she reached out and referred to those who understand the situation better or who have better expertise in that situation, and she does not have when in time of need. And her second principle is ensure that the task is understood, supervised, and accomplished. So when Thatcher first came into power, Britain was known as the sick man of Europe. And when she first entered office, she said, I came to the office with one deliberate intent, to change Britain from a dependent to a self-reliant society, from a give it to me to a do-it-yourself nation. When she came into power, there were many issues going on. For example, Britain's economy was not doing very well. So she battled the country's recession by increasing interest rates to control inflation. She reformed trade unions and privatized social housing and public transport. By 1982, inflation decreased, and this helped Britain's export to increase, and this boosted Britain's economic growth at the same time. She was greatly criticized for her actions, for increasing interest rates, and so on. But by 1982, inflation was falling, and Thatcher managed to fix the segment of Europe.
Okay, the last one is Margaret Thatcher standing firm to her decision. The first one, she refused to be intimidated by terrorism and opposed it in all of its form. After the Irish Republican Army attempt to assassinate her and her cabinet at the 1984 Conservative conversation in Brighton, narrowly missing Thatcher but killing 5 people, she insisted on continuing the conference the next day. Her bravery was instrumental in bringing moral clarity to the atrocity of terrorism as a political tool, just like she said. The fact that we are gathered here now, shocked but composed and determined, is a sign not only that this attack has failed, but that all attempts to destroy the democracy by terrorism will fail. And during the Falklands War, she showed her determination to defend British interests, which is after the invasion of British territory by Argentina military forces. Thatcher said it will not stand. Fully knowing the real prospect of defeat, Thatcher ordered a British military task force to retake the islands, and they did. And along with a foreign policy success, Thatcher, because of that, she was known as the Iron Lady, Scott dogmatically. And that's all from us. Thank you.
So that is the end of our presentation. Thank you very much.